What's up, guys? This is Dave. I'm joined by the lovely Ash and our good friend Mr. Andrew Volpe to discuss the much hyped Hereditary from first time director Ari Aster, maker of demented short films. Finally got enough cash to kind of make a feature. So, I don't know. So much hype. And it did well at the box office. I think it made more money than any A24 release has ever made.
Oh, really?
Kind of in its debut. Yeah, I think it came in at 13 or 14. And no A24 has ever made more than 10.
Really?
I think I saw that. So, a lot of hype. And the hype has been kind of met with a lot of kind of pissed offedness by the peeps out there. So
I was gonna say it's interesting that you say that, because I'd be interested to see if that trend continues in the next weekend, or if there's a huge drop off because of so much of the audience reaction being negative. And stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I think right now it's got a D- cinema score,
which is insane.
Which is bad. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what it's doing on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's in the low 90s. I want to say 91, 92, kind of at the time we're recording this on Sunday. It kind of did the whole Sundance rounds of getting crazy hype. It's the scariest movie of the year. All this stuff. And then people went to go see it, and I don't know that they're scared as much as they are kind of confused, bored, and kind of not scared, which is probably I don't know.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see a horror movie, and I was like, "What in the world am I watching here?"
Because Ash knew as little as a human could possibly probably know.
I'd seen the trailer. When we went to go see, he's like, "Oh, let's go see Hereditary." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And we walked into the movie, and I guess it started with, the scene for the little models that the lady makes. I was like, oh, it's this movie. Because I don't know. I just thought it was maybe a trailer I hadn't seen. I didn't tie the name to it.
Right.
Then I recalled the trailer, and I was like, oh, well, this should be interesting.
The one with the weird-looking girl. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that doesn't, you got to be careful. That's...
Yeah,
that's not prosthetics or something. I think that's her.
Oh,
her
right.
face.
No, not.
Be careful.
They definitely like made her up to be like the weird loner. That's kind of what I meant,
Yeah. No. Good cover there. Good cover. Yeah, no. I literally texted Volpe and was like, they had me at that girl's face. Yeah. Basically, the way that they set her up as just kind of the weird side head tilt.
Yeah.
The glazed over look.
Yeah,
and
eyes.
The hair and the dead eyes. I was like, you got me.
She got the crazy something's wrong with this kid stare down pat.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, Millie Shapiro. She's like a Broadway actress. I think she got famous with her sister. Her and her sister had a show.
Oh, cool.
Something like that. So that's how she kind of got some pop. And I think this is her first movie. And God damn, is it a way to start?
Seriously.
Yeah. So, we haven't gotten into any spoilers yet. We're gonna go ahead and just dive in because we don't really have time to do kind of non-spoilers. And if you're not, like, don't listen to people if you're not sure about seeing this. Like, just I don't know if it's for you. You kind of gotta be really amped and excited to go see this, or just kind of pass to me. You know what I mean? It's kind of a wild, crazy horror drama.
I think you should also be prepared. Like, I think a lot of people go to horror movies being like, oh, it's going to be like bloody or suspenseful. But this has a lot of like, I think a lot of the real terror comes from the like morose, depressing, like realistic family history stuff. Like just like mourning and all that other stuff. Like there's all this like, you feel like you're getting a peek into like, something really private, like a family's like worst secrets. So I feel like that's not the sort of thing when you hear a horror movie, like people are like, oh yeah, that's what I want to go see. It really, they do a good job of making you feel uncomfortable as well as like unnerved and grossed out, I think, in this.
Yeah, it's pretty strange. I don't know. I mean, a lot of family drama. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that description is accurate because I would say the first 2/3 of the movie, you're just like, what the hell am I watching here? Like, I thought we were in a horror movie. But when you think about it that way, looking at it, you know, you're just uncomfortable in the family drama and trying to figure out all these dynamics between these people. It really, I mean, I was uncomfortable for the entire thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not a fun movie, you know, and it's not it's a good old never gonna see that one again probably for me. You know what I mean? Of like,
well, so can I like, so it sounds like you guys weren't as hype on it. I just want to come out and say I fucking loved it, but I was probably pre-sold for this. So it's interesting to me, like, especially after hearing about all the cinema score stuff, because I felt like I had such a good theatrical experience for it. Like, I was like front and center in the auditorium, so all the acoustics for the sound were hitting me just right, and like it was interesting because the theater was so quiet. So like after the little girls scene with the telephone pole, like you could just hear a pin drop for most of the fucking movie. Like I really liked that they have the ballsiness to make you that uncomfortable. And he had like everything, like just I can totally understand people's issues with like plot holes and stuff like that, but just on a technical and acting level and everything like that, considering that's this dude's first movie, I think he's like about our age, like that's fucking insane, man.
I mean, you know, and I just want to briefly say, if you hear a snoring
Monster
in the background, that's our lovely dog. He's just sitting on the couch with us. Wherever Ash is, that's basically where he is. So in order for Ash to participate, you basically have to suffer through his snorkeling. So just want to say that. Yeah, as for the acting, you know, I mean, I think a lot of people have come out and been like, Toni Collette for the Oscar, hand her the Oscar now, whatever you want, nothing's going to beat that. And yeah, I'm kind of with you, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be some crazy female performances. That's about as rangy and wild as they come, kind of from being kind of a basic bitch housewife, you know, just normal, with her super basic husband who, you know, are just the most kind of like boring milquetoast white bread Utah, you know, because it was shot in Utah. The setting is Utah, so that's kind of why I throw it out there. But you know, very just believable as just a basic chick, and then goes into, oh, I'm possessed by my daughter's spirit right now. You know what I mean? Like, so the Colette action was great. A lot of people really did not like young Alex Wolff, who is Peter, the son. Yeah, a lot of people, hearing a lot. Well, you know, really didn't like kind of his performance kind of in the final maybe third act, where he's kind of breaking down, he's crying, he's saying, asking for mommy and stuff. A lot of people not into it.
I mean, that was uncomfortable for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know if it sounds like a lot of people have said, or I saw one person say it looked like someone mocking someone who's asking for their mommy or begging for their mom or whatever.
It was weird.
Yeah,
you know?
I could see
it's
that.
Uncomfortable and unsettling to see, like, I don't know, what is he, 17?
Yeah.
He's at least 16 when he's driving, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, kind of ask for his mommy, especially when the whole situation is like pretty I mean, his relationship with Toni Collette is pretty non-existent to bad.
Yeah.
Right? So it's pretty uncomfortable to see him kind of like pitiful, kind of crying and sobbing like that. But you know, beyond that, I mean, what did you kind of think of kind of where were you going with this? Because I went back and forth of what I thought I was watching.
Right.
And it's funny because when the movie starts, and what the trailers had me believe was that this is some sort of, you know, the mother that is passed is some sort of queen witch.
Right.
And her followers are going to start intermingling themselves into the lives of her kind of extended family, and then that's going to be the drama, you know, and then it kind of shifts into like a possession, and Charlie dies, and you're like, whoa, where the hell is this thing going? Yeah. Is this going to be like a poltergeist type scenario where we got some stuff going on, and then it circles back into the queen witch?
Oh, that's awesome. I think that I liked, you know, Charlie dying. was I feel like I'm a kind of jaded horror movie fan most of the time, and usually you're you can kind of guess how the plot's going to develop just from the outset. And I thought Charlie, I assume from the trailers they did a really good job in making it seem like Charlie, it would almost happen in reverse, like the rest of the family would die and Charlie would be the one to live, because she obviously something strange is going on with her and she is somehow tethered to this supernatural being. And just when that scene with the telephone pole and the way that they do it, you can tell that was the signal that this film doesn't give a fuck. It's going to take no prisoners and play on your expectations, and it's willing to go to that dark of a place. When they did that flash of her decapitated head on the ground covered in ants. I will not be able to forget that image for the longest time. And it's not just because of that. It's just the way they built it up. When she's having the asthma attack or whatever, when the allergic reaction, he's driving to the hospital and you know that he's going to run into something. I was expecting them to get into a car accident or something, but her just sticking her head out the window, the way it goes from oh, this is a bad situation to oh my God, this is horrifying. And it's just, I can't think of another movie in recent memory that's gone that dark that quick. And then it just rose the bar and continued to, or I suppose lowered the bar would be a better way of putting it, because it just keeps on getting darker and more fucked up from there.
Did you? I don't know about you guys, but I was sitting there. I don't. It wasn't clean. It wasn't clearly demonstrated to me that Toni Collette knew that her son was to blame for Charlie's death immediately. I thought, well, because he drives home, right? Mm-hmm. And this is before, so he drives home. We don't know that she's been decapitated until the head reveal, right?
Right.
We just know that she got hit in the head.
Right.
But we don't know that there's just a body gushing without a head in the back seat, because he drives home nonchalantly, crawls into bed.
Yeah.
And I was like, is he going to play this maybe Charlie was just sleeping outside as she normally does, and someone came and someone got her, an animal maybe, who knows? It's, they're kind of in the wilderness. So there was this tension for me that extended a little bit, because I didn't know if Toni Collette knew that Peter was the reason she's dead.
Right.
Right.
I don't know. Was it clear to you guys immediately that Toni Collette knew what exactly happened?
Well, when she went out to the car and started screaming.
That's a good indicator.
I guess because, she saw just a body, no head, that she assumed Peter did it. But, it wasn't ever clearly stated that...
Because if I kill my kid's sister, probably going to mention it when I get home.
Well,
I never talked about it.
I kind of felt like they almost seemed like it was... At first I thought he was doing it... He was either going to pretend he was, in shock or something like that. Like he just wasn't thinking and drove home. But I kind of got the sense that there was, a time jump after that scene of him waking up to his mom screaming. Because, they probably skipped past... it would be, probably a couple of weeks of the mom just crying and laying in bed,
right?
So
because we get that little funeral shot, but then I think
there's that's all you need is and her saying I want to die and stuff like that,
right. Right.
But I noticed that I was thinking about that, and there's kind of that theme of how Toni Collette's saying in the beginning, her mom always had secrets. Most of the people in this family have secrets that they don't address or something, these things they're guilty about that they don't do anything about. And I thought that was kind of a a part of that. Like, Toni Collette even like tries, like, she's bitter towards him the rest of the movie, and in like one of the dinner scenes, she says something about him not being able to take responsibility, and if he just fucking admitted he fucked up and apologized, she wouldn't have this grudge against him. But
yeah.
And the same way, I think, like, Toni Collette won't be open with her grieving and her weird relationship with her mom, and she won't open up to her husband. Her husband's keeping secrets from her about her mom's gravesite being, messed with. So, yeah, I kind of felt like there was, like, some sort of motif of, like, family secrets being these people's undoing or something.
Right. Yeah, there was a bunch of... I had a hard time... Listen, I'm no Rhodes Scholar here, you know what I mean? But I had a hard time kind of following how the spirit was jumping around from one to the next.
Yeah.
And just kind of briefly possessing people or showing an interest, because the kind of... what effect would you call that? Kind of the literally the visual effect, when it kind of reminds me of Prometheus, the little drones going through the tunnels.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
The shimmering light thing.
Yeah,
it
but
looks
it's just
like
it's just a line outline, kind of
it's
cruising down hallways and
like
stuff.
when light reflects off of a pool or something like that. That kind of weird
Sorta
shimmery. But yeah, I thought that was cool. I thought that was subtle. But yeah, I do have to admit, like, probably my biggest issue with the movie is when you really think about the logic of things, it doesn't entirely hold up. Like,
Shit.
Well, I mean, I was going through it, and I think I got a rough idea of what was going on, but they don't really ever explain, like, why does the plan need to be this convoluted, like, what really was the mom doing? What was going on with, like, the mom's husband who, like, starved to death, and her son who is schizophrenic that probably was going to be the first sacrifice or whatever? Was Charlie the demon guy?
Paimon?
Yeah. Was Charlie Paimon the whole time, or was she...
Well, that's kind of what I'm curious about, too, because if Charlie was Paimon the whole time, I don't know what knowledge you're squeezing out of Charlie, because the kind of the woman who poses as I can't remember her name, but Joan. Yeah, the woman who kind of poses as the friend, fellow grieving kind of stuff like that. She kind of at the end reveal says, "Please continue to give us your knowledge and your wisdom," and something along those lines, right?
Right. Give us your like prizes or something. He's supposed to give them cash. Like, they had that shot of the grandma, them dumping money on the grandma. I kind of they kept on talking about riches, right? Isn't that
right? Yeah. So, a few questions. It sounded like Grandma was a crazy old lady who had to live in the home until she was put in a hospice. So that doesn't sound too dazzling to me. Like, she was bawling. And then, how much stuff were you getting out of Charlie if Charlie was possessed from birth, right? So that's kind of the thought, that Charlie was possessed from birth, and then they reappropriated the body for Paimon to jump to Peter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess. Like,
because it had to be a boy.
Yeah.
Well, he prefers boys.
But why did they have to wait until the grandma died to put all the... That's the one thing that got me, is like, well, why did they... I guess the grandmother's death was the one thing that could bring her close. Like, I was trying to figure out what's the thing that brings all these events into motion, and why did the grandma need to die to do it, or... Like, all this seemed like it was predestined, but... And, like, watching the movie, I was totally into it, but, like, just thinking about, like, okay, we gotta wait until the son's 18, and then we're gonna cast a spell so that it will be fated that he drags his sister, who's actually the devil, to a party, and she'll get decapitated, and, like, it's just like, man, there's gotta be an easier way to go about that, And then we're gonna trick the mom into doing a seance for the dead girl so she can come back. Like, it's, I guess all the movies like this tend to be complicated when you unravel them, but I don't know. All these cults always seem to have everything so well thought out. Like, Rosemary's Baby and all this other shit.
Okay, so do you appreciate the ending, or I don't know? I feel like it was kind of a cop out to literally just have a woman kind of off screen tell you the plot of the film in 30 seconds, in the last 30 seconds. So you've watched this film for what,
2 hours,
over 2 hours, and then you kind of get like a reveal. You get kind of a satisfactory like, oh, okay. But I don't know. I mean, were you satisfied with that? I mean, you dug it, so I assume you were satisfied.
No,
but...
well, I was, but that was one of the parts I had real big qualms with, because, yeah, they really didn't need to do that. It felt like it was tacked on, and it's just there to spell it out for you in case you missed it. But I really felt like they kind of had...
I needed it, frankly.
Well, I did too, but think of... you guys saw that movie Kill List, right?
I have seen it. I guarantee you Ash has not seen Kill List. Yeah.
But, like, you know how in that movie, it's kind of the same thing. It's a cult manipulating this guy that doesn't know what's going on, and it gradually gets crazier and crazier, but they don't bother explaining anything to you. Like, there's huge gaps of what the fuck is going on that they never tell you, and I kind of like that more, because you're just locked into that character's viewpoint where they're trapped in this situation, and it's scarier because you don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, and then that's the point where it was a little bit of a letdown, because after all the build up, it's still like, oh, okay, it's another cult trying to make the Antichrist or whatever. So, and I know that's, you can get a lot of good stories out of it, but it's still a tried and true, almost cliche at this point. But I love the aspects of it. Like, I loved the creepy old naked people hiding in the shadows towards the end. That
always circles back to creepy old naked. Like, did you feel? I don't know. I had a real. I know we probably mention it on every podcast, but I really felt like it was kind of a The Witch style ending where you're seeing a lot of supernatural things, but maybe you can explain them away with some sort of, like, there's probably a reasonable explanation why Black Phillip is talking or whatever the hell he's doing. Right. Spoiler alert. And then the end, there's like, oh, nope, no doubt in the world. Yeah. There's just supernatural shit going on. People are flying. People are doing everything. So
yeah. Well, the first 2/3 of the movie, I thought that was going to be the deal with it, where it's going to be that, like, turn of the screw, like, oh, it could be a ghost story, or it could be all in Toni Collette's head. But then there hits a definite tipping point where it's like, oh no, this is clearly something supernatural,
Yeah, I want to know more about how you get lined up with these people. Is it word of mouth? Is it recruiting?
Oh, I don't know.
How do you kind of get involved with raising the 8th king of hell?
Can we revisit this? We had this conversation last night. I swore she said to her husband right before he caught on fire and died, something about, oh, we saved this person, and then all this weirdness started. Like, she did something, I thought, with her mother, because remember, she's wearing that necklace symbol thing.
Right.
And I swore she said something about that. And that's what began this. And that's what I felt tied her to this weird cult thing that opened her up to be possessed or take care of these tasks that needed to be taken care of by this group.
A lot of weird moments where she says things that I'm not sure who's saying it. Mm-hmm. Like, how did you feel about when she's revealing... And they teased this in the teaser, in a trailer, where she says, I never wanted to be your mother. And then she, like, slaps her face, like, over her mouth, like she didn't mean to say that. Was she possessed when she was saying that?
That was a dream, man. Because remember,
that was a dream?
Yeah, remember right after that, she starts to light her son and her on fire, just like she had almost done when she was sleepwalking a few months before.
I may have passed out.
Oh, okay.
Is that the same scene where she sees him covered in ants?
I can't...
That was a different dream sequence.
No, that was a different one. Because she follows the ants into the room and sees him covered with ants, and then he wakes up and thinks that she's like staring at him again in his sleep.
So when was the one where he wakes up and she's real close to his face?
She's on top of him.
And then it leads into the, hey, we got to go try the seance.
Yeah,
right.
But that's real.
But that was real.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, I assume all the seance stuff was real, because that's really when the seance is kind of like the tipping point where the movie goes like way more into horror.
It really kind of lost me there because you've got kind of Peter crying, just kind of crying like you're upsetting him. Oh no shit, you're upsetting him.
I was waiting for the entire reveal of her waking up in mental ward, that this was just all in her imagination the entire time.
Right.
Well, how did she survive the whole thing? Did she just basically did her mother just orchestrate for her to survive long enough to have kids?
I guess.
Right.
Well, I was trying to figure out like when did this evil devil king enter Charlie's body, because they had the little model showing that the mom used to insist on breastfeeding her kid. So I was like, is that how the devil, and you have like the Antichrist, is by just breastfeeding them from a witch? Like,
but has she been possessed the whole time? Because she was
It's unclear,
Yeah.
right?
normal-ish.
Right.
She
Well,
wasn't
yeah.
showing...
Well,
She was touched a little bit, but she
touched.
wasn't quite demonic or anything. She
Right.
seemed like a simple, nice, kind of sweet
Right.
child who likes to draw and cut the heads off of pigeons that fly into windows and stuff. But
that was post-grandma
but
dying.
she had some powers, right? So she got upset, right? Teacher goes, "Stop playing with your toy, finish your quiz," and then next thing you know, the bird slams into the thing.
right.
So it's clearly it's telling you that she's capable of doing this stuff, even if it's not
Right.
voluntary or not.
And the
She's not
mom-
cognizant of it.
The mom also said she never cried as a child.
Right, never cried as a child.
So, never cried at all. So that would tell you something is unique
Right.
about her, because she is possessed and she is a...
So then how did Grandma get away with kind of being worshipped for all those years while Charlie, because she had 13, right? Charlie's 13. So what have the 13 years been like? Has Grandma not been possessed by Paimon for those 13 years?
Well, was Grandma ever possessed by Paimon? That's the other thing I was trying to
Unclear.
figure out.
Unclear.
Was she Paimon first and then passed it to Charlie?
She was getting dazzled with the worship, right?
Yeah, but was she just the leader of the cult of Paimon? You know what I mean? Like, that is something I wish
She
they
was just
spelled out more.
queen.
Right. She was... Didn't they describe her as a queen or
Yeah,
something?
no, they had a picture in the treehouse that said Queen Lily or Queen
Oh,
Lee or
okay.
whatever. And that was in the beginning, too,
Right.
in the
The
funeral service or whatever, I think.
The creepiest follower award probably goes to that blonde guy at the funeral, right? Who's just standing there, who's
staring at the kid.
just, hey, how, like, can you be any more obvious that you're like in a cult or something? Like,
Yeah.
just chill the fuck out for a second. You're scaring
Phil,
me.
keep it on the DL. We've waited 18 years to get this plan together.
I mean, I'm like, yeah, just relax, bro. Like, someone should have pulled him aside.
Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
we
Because
had
Joan
that.
did a great job of not really coming off crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, we also had that letter, remember, in the early, where she finds...
Oh.
The daughter finds the letter, the mom says, that all the sacrifices we've made are going to be worth it. Like, you'll see
Right,
soon.
Paymon's gonna have our back.
Yeah.
Yeah, love mom or whatever.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, doesn't that pose a question in your head if you're reading this? Like, what sacrifices have we made?
The
Right.
kids, right? Well, the
Well,
son,
going to
the,
be,
the
but
dad who
she read
starved
it
himself.
before.
Well,
right? Yeah.
there's this
then,
other
yeah.
thing. When the son, when we first see the son in the classroom and he's like staring at the cute girl's butt in front of him, the teacher's talking about something like there's some like big overshadowing, like, you know, they always do that. Whatever subject they're teaching in the classroom has to tie into the theme of the movie, but
Right.
they're talking about Greek tragedies and how is it more tragic if a hero is undone by their own fatal flaw or if they don't even have a choice. So I think that's the big theme, is like all these characters have been doomed from before the movie even started. Like all of these things have been planned and set into motion like long before, and there's like nothing they can do about it.
Right, because
Yeah.
the big reveal is that, you know, Peter, who you think is just kind of the snot-nosed kid or whatever, is basically the star of the movie. The opening shot is Peter, right? So you're coming in and they introduce you first to Peter. You know, he's the star of the thing. He's the last survivor at the end. And it seems like the cult has finagled things so that there's no way that Toni Collette was going to make it. There's no way that husband was going to make it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, You know?
I thought watching the trailer that Peter would be the first to die.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
I was not
He's
expecting.
most violently kind of attacked, right?
Well,
He's targeted.
He also doesn't seem like you're naturally going to be like more sympathetic to the little girl, you know.
Yeah.
So like her dying first, and then I do admit like it was weird. I was not expecting Peter to become kind of like the focus of the movie, and it kind of sucks because he is. You know, I think Toni Collette was a way more interesting character, but it is still in the weirdness and the what's going on factor of it is interesting. But yeah, the logic of why Paimon needs a male body and just why they needed to go about it this particular way to get it to him. I
tried to do some research on Paimon, and I couldn't make heads or tails of it.
Well, it was in that weird spiritual book she was reading, and it said whatever had to be a male body.
Right.
Like, that was specific, and then the grandmother
some very
would always
specific
tell
powers, you know.
Oh,
Charlie, she wished she was a boy, or that she needed to be a boy.
Right. And then wasn't Toni Collette saying that she was on the outs with her mom when she had her son first, so that's why she kept the son away, but then Charlie, when Charlie came around, like, they had repaired their relationship, and that's when she started butting her nose in their life and shit.
Something. But then she also said in that dream sequence that she tried to kill Peter before she gave birth to him.
Right. So that
after she said, I never wanted to be
tried
your
to
mother.
miscarry him on purpose, right? And then
the mom convinced her not to somehow.
Right. And then so I can't remember when she reveals the whole kerosene or paint thinner or whatever, was that just Peter?
No,
herself and Peter, or Charlie?
It was Charlie.
Charlie was
too.
also covered in paint.
Yeah.
All right, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It would make sense to kill Peter, maybe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that was just showing her psychoticness in the fact that she was willing to kill all three of them.
Yeah, but so was that her or was that the cult? Because that's the thing is like I just kind of assume that everything is somehow being manipulated by the cult, but it is like to what degree? Like yes, the cult cast a like spell to make her not be able to abort her kid, like, you know, make her you know, like, was it fate? Did they make the mom force Charlie to go to this party so she'd die, like, or like I've got to assume they are pulling some sort of supernatural strings to make all this happen. Otherwise they're taking, like, things just happen to work out really well for them, you know, like,
right.
Here's my biggest fan theory. The cult owns the gallery. Because there's no way that a real gallery would buy her shit. So I think that's the end of the story.
Yeah.
That they were behind the whole thing. Maybe the husband was a plant. I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, he wasn't in the trailer at all, right?
Barely. He's in like a shot.
Not really.
Or two.
Yeah.
He's on.
Well, he's just.
He's on fire in that one shot.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I was like, oh god, who's on fire?
Yeah.
And as soon as the dog was in, I was like, oh,
yeah.
is the dog on fire? I was like, who is burning in this trailer? It better not be the dog.
Oh,
Please
that'd be
don't-
fucked up. It was the dog.
She did gank the dog, right? The dog did not make it.
Yeah, but that was like a little, like, after, like, you know, just a little extra fuck you, you know.
Yeah.
I think people are less inclined to show a dog having something terrible happen.
He had
to
an
them.
off-screen.
Yeah,
death.
yeah. You always gotta just imply
Toni
that.
Collette piano wiring her head off. Fine.
Yeah.
I'll handle that. You can't kill a dog on screen for me. You lose me.
Yeah, man.
What's the horrible movie where they kill the puppy in the beginning?
John Wick. Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
It's just
Also an
awful.
off-screen death, though, I think.
Yeah. You never.
Yeah, but still pretty violent.
Yeah.
Enough to
For
bother
sure.
you.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's certain things that we won't stand for, you know, until Gasper No figures out.
Oh, man.
A way to do it.
Oh, dude. Are you getting excited for Climax? I really want.
I'm not I'm you know, I think it is what it is.
Oh, man.
It's the next one.
I guess I don't know. I'm always like, the weirder and seedier it is, the more into it I get. So that's like the next thing I'm looking forward to a lot.
So you know, for those of you who don't know, one of our you know, watch it once every 5 years kind of movie makers, you know, we got Enter the Void, Irreversible.
Yeah.
Love, right?
And then he had one before Irreversible that I cannot remember. I don't think that many people have seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool.
And then
I mean,
he's up there with Lars von Trier of like kind of just of Antichrist fame of just making creepy shit. And I'm actually more excited for Lars's movie, the serial killer one with Matt Dillon. Is that?
Yeah, I haven't even seen the I dig Lars von Trier, but he's also so far up his own ass sometimes, I feel like.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
He's made a movie that's apparently so repulsive the French couldn't even watch it.
Oh,
so.
man.
Jesus.
Yeah, so.
But he lives off of, like, negative review, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I feel like that people...
He's like a more talented UA Ball, you know?
Yes, exactly.
All right, well, to circle back to... Hereditary. I'm like, what movie did we do?
Yeah, right.
Any final thoughts?
I was gonna say, once again, I'm just totally like sorry for being unabashedly like loving this shit. But
go for it.
The director Ari Aster's, seriously, this is all his shit. I saw one of his student films before this, and it's fucking awesome. It's called. I think it's called The Strange Thing About the Johnsons, and it's available on Vimeo, and it is... It might be more fucked up than Hereditary. It's pretty messed up. It's about a son that molests a dad, and it'll just go from there. But he's a really ballsy filmmaker, and he's got a really specific and unique vision. So I think this kid's gonna be going places, and I'm very curious what he's gonna do next. So.
All right. Well, I don't know. Ash, you got anything?
No. I mean, if you're piqued your interest at all, I would go see it. I would probably not want to see it again, but it leads to interesting conversations and a very thought-provoking movie.
That's true.
So.
Yeah, we don't know what happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't know how it happened.
Your imagination can run wild.
Yeah, you can just invent wild fan theories, and that's what I like to use my imagination to create the movie.
Yes.
As Homer says. None of that happened in the movie you're just watching. He's like, I like to make my own movie. Right? So, yeah, I am the Homer Simpson school of film review. So, thank you guys so much for listening. Please like, please share, please subscribe. You can listen to us complain about and misunderstanding movies. We've got an incredible film up on the horizon in our feature where we read books that are made into awful movies, and then we talk about how they're different. So next on our series is going to be The Meg, and I have made it through. I successfully made it through The Meg.
Oh,
the book.
you already read it?
Oh, I already did it, baby.
Oh, man.
I'm way ahead of you. And then because I did the audiobook, who has time to read? And it included the prequel, which was like, I guess, a couple bonus chapters or something. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but basically he wrote the first book, which is like a bizarre romance novel, shark movie.
Oh.
Like, it's so weird, dude. Like, there's so many things where you're just like...
Oh, man.
Like, he's describing, like, an Asian woman is, like, her almond Asian eyes
what?
glared into him.
Oh,
I'm
my
like,
God.
What? Like, uncomfortable, weird stuff. It's so bizarre. Like, he describes the shark, like, the shark's pulsing dorsal fin.
Oh, my God.
Through the... I mean, just weird stuff, dude. You're like, it's so uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
The shark looked exactly like a big floppy penis.
I was just like... It's just so uncomfortable and weird.
Oh, man.
The movie looks nothing like the book, which I'm pretty stoked about, honestly.
Right.
It looks so dumb and awesome. I can't wait. And so, there will be many differences. I guarantee you. Whoever wrote the script, I don't know who.
I'm sure it was
read through that book.
20 people
Jason
that
Statham,
wrote the script.
Yeah. Jason Statham was like, I can't even make it through this book. He threw it against a wall and was like, we're starting over.
Oh, man.
It's about a giant shark. That's it. Like, I'm watching the trailers like, oh, who is that? Is that Trish Tuckenau? Who's that? Is that Mac McGreedy, the crazy helicopter pilot? Is that the billionaire yacht owner? Is that the young naval officer? And you can't tell, because none of those characters were brought over. I guarantee it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's gonna be great. So we're gonna probably that's the next one, and then we'll find another one to get after. But thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.
See you.
Bye.